6 months ago, a penthouse on Palm Jumeirah sold for $40 million. Last week, a unit in the same building was listed for less than the price of a used car dealership in Ohio. Nobody is talking about this. And the people who know the truth? They're already gone. Dubai, the city that built the impossible, the city that literally created land out of the ocean, the city that promised the world it had cracked the code on infinite wealth. But right now, behind the glass towers and gold-plated lobbies, something is breaking. Something that billionaires, influencers, and the government PR machine do not want you to see. Luxury mansions are sitting empty. Price tags are being slashed by 60, 70, sometimes even 80%. And the buyers? They're not showing up. So what actually happened? How does the most hyped real estate market on the planet go from untouchable to desperate in under a year? And more importantly, is this just Dubai, or is this the beginning of something much bigger? To understand the crash, you have to understand the dream. And nobody sold the dream harder than Dubai. In 1990, Dubai's GDP was roughly $7 billion. By 2023, it had crossed $110 billion, a 1,400% increase in just 3 decades. Not in Silicon Valley. Not in New York. In the middle of a desert. The city built the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in human history. In just 6 years, it constructed Palm Jumeirah, an artificial island shaped like a palm tree, visible from space. Purely as a real estate statement. It built an indoor ski slope inside a mall in a place where outdoor temperatures hit 115 degrees Fahrenheit. By 2021, Dubai was being called the new Monaco. No income tax. No capital gains tax. Strong legal protections for foreign investors. A government that moved at the speed of ambition rather than bureaucracy. The numbers backed the hype. In 2022, Dubai recorded over 86,000 real estate transactions, the highest in its history. Palm Jumeirah villa prices jumped 100% in a single year. Major developers posted record profits. International buyers flew in from Russia, China, India, Europe, and America, buying properties off-plan before a single brick had been laid. The narrative was crystal clear: Dubai real estate only goes up. It was sold as the safest bet on the planet. Media outlets called it the world's most resilient property market. Social media was flooded with influencers standing on rooftop infinity pools, telling their followers that Dubai was the future. Celebrities, hedge fund managers, crypto billionaires, they all planted their flags there. At its peak, a villa on Jumeirah Bay Island was listed for $82 million. And it sold. This was the mountaintop, the pinnacle of a city that had convinced the world it was immune to gravity. That was then. Here's where the story starts to crack. In late 2023, the Financial Action Task Force placed the UAE on its gray list. This meant international banks were required to apply enhanced scrutiny to transactions involving Dubai, every wire transfer, every property purchase, every business deal. Suddenly, the frictionless financial paradise had friction. Then came the second hit. In early 2024, the U.S. Treasury issued guidance targeting luxury real estate money laundering corridors, and Dubai was named explicitly. American banks began refusing certain UAE-linked transactions. European institutions followed. A significant portion of Dubai's real estate boom had been fueled by opaque capital. Suddenly, that money had nowhere to go. Russian investors who had moved billions into Dubai after sanctions began facing scrutiny. Accounts were questioned. Some were frozen. Properties were quietly listed urgently and at deep discounts. Then the crypto market collapsed. Between 2021 and 2022, an estimated 30 to 40% of ultra-luxury property purchases in Dubai were funded by cryptocurrency gains. When Bitcoin fell from $69,000 to $16,000, an entire class of buyers disappeared overnight. Not slowed down, gone. Then came the supply problem. Between 2020 and 2024, Dubai issued permits for over 300,000 new residential units in a city of about 3.5 million people, most of whom are not in a position to buy property. By mid-2024, more than 45,000 completed luxury units were sitting empty. Not under construction. Finished. Dark. No residents. Just glass and silence. Dubai's developer model relies heavily on off-plan sales, collecting deposits to fund construction. This works in a rising market. In a flat or falling market, it becomes fragile. Some developers quietly paused projects after taking deposits. Buyers received legal notices instead of timelines. Regulatory dispute. Filings surged dramatically. Meanwhile, the rental story began to unravel. Dubai had marketed itself as a high-yield paradise, promising returns of 8 to 12%. But by late 2024, average luxury rental yields had dropped to around 4%. Why? Because supply surged while demand softened. The remote work wave reversed. International tenants left. Crypto wealth shrank. Investors who once rented luxury villas downsized or exited entirely. But ownership costs didn't fall. Luxury property service charges can run between $30,000 and $80,000 per year. Add maintenance, cooling, and management fees, and empty properties become financial drains. Investors holding vacant units are burning cash. That leads to panic selling. And panic selling in a market flooded with supply creates a cascade. But here's the bigger picture. Dubai isn't unique. Between 2019 and 2023, there was a massive global shift of ultra-wealthy capital into a handful of safe haven markets: Dubai, Singapore, Miami, and Lisbon. All saw the same pattern. Rapid inflows of foreign money. Explosive price growth. Massive construction booms. Policy or regulatory tightening. Buyer pullback. Oversupply. Price corrections. Miami saw inventory surge. Lisbon saw price drops after policy changes. Singapore saw demand fall after tax hikes. The pattern is global. And here's the critical twist: Dubai cannot afford a visible crash. Its long-term economic strategy. Moving away from oil toward tourism, finance, and services depends heavily on the perception of a strong property market. If confidence collapses, foreign investment slows. Tourism weakens. Talent inflow declines. So the system adapts. Developers avoid publicizing distressed sales. Listings show asking prices, not actual transaction values. Official data is delayed, smoothing out declines. Behind the scenes, brokers, private deals, and bulk sales tell a different story. Dubai isn't collapsing, but it is adjusting under pressure. And the real question isn't whether the city survives. It will. The real question is, who absorbs the losses? The individual investor who bought at the peak. The retiree who moved savings into property based on promised yields. The middle-class buyer who stretched financially to enter the market. They don't have institutional backing. They don't have sovereign wealth protection. They have contracts and falling asset values. And that leads to a broader question. When global capital moves this fast, this freely, and this blindly, who protects everyone else? Because this isn't just a Dubai story. It's a preview of what happens when hype becomes strategy, when FOMO replaces fundamentals, and when perception overtakes reality. The next domino may already be moving. Most people just haven't noticed yet.